I want to welcome you to the Pro Mindset Podcast. The Pro Mindset Podcast is all about diving into the headspace that results in championship performance. High-performing athletes, winners, have this mental flow and have a positive headspace for their performances and success. Join me, Craig Domann, sports attorney and NFL agent, on this podcast. I will interview pro athletes, college athletes, football coaches, and sports personalities. Together, we can discover how you can get in the flow and have your own pro mindset. Okay, I want to welcome a special guest today to Pro Mindset, Anthony Trucks. Anthony Trucks has so many hats he's worn. He's been a former NFL player, former Oregon Duck. He is an entrepreneur. He's a trainer. He's done all these things, and now he's a podcaster and a mental coach, a public speaker, a motivational speaker. I'm sure I've missed a few things, but why don't you add...
What I do, huh?
Yeah, what you do.
I'm a dad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a consultant for large corporations that work in the need for health. I do a lot of stuff, like you said, a lot of hats. The biggest thing, I think the most important is that I'm like dad. I think I've got a season of dad. So all this stuff is great. I do a lot of it because it fills up my soul to leave impact. But the reality is it creates an income that allows me to really have the freedom to be at home and with my kids. And then it's cool, man. I feel like I'm living life the way God intended me to.
So let's talk about your kids. So you have 3 kids, a set of twins.
Mm-hmm.
Real quickly, give me the bio on your 3 kids.
Bios. Okay, my youngest is Torian Trucks, Torian Diesel Trucks. Yeah, if I had to play with that middle name. He's a football player, flag football, tackle football, soccer player. He just finished All-Stars with flag football, which was pretty good. And he's the guy that's like the maniac. You wind him up and let him run. He's a kid that gets kicked out of basketball games because he's like tackling kids, right? So that's him. My daughter Tatum is a phenomenal swimmer. She's in her 3rd year, and we have no idea where she got it from. Like, she all of a sudden is just a fish. So she goes in and she's beaten, like, she's a 9-10. She's 9. But she trains and practices with the 12-year-olds and beats all those kids in her team. And then goes to her grade, if you want to call her age group. And although she's the 9-year-old and a 9-10, she beats all the 10-year-olds also. So she's going to what's called the county meet, which is really hard to get to in our area. So she's going to that, and she's doing phenomenal. My oldest son is a track athlete. Nobody does football really besides my youngest. So he did football a little bit. My oldest shows a kind of like go track route, which is fine, but he excels at it. So just this last weekend, literally I just left yesterday. He's now got the Junior Olympics in 3 events. As the 14-and-a-half-year-old against kids that are almost 17, he is now going to the Junior Olympics in the 110 hurdles. He's actually an EBAL, his high school area's champion for freshmen and sophomore. And he's going the 110 hurdles, the 400 hurdles, and the 4x1. So my kids are incredible humans, just academically also and athletically. Like, they all got great grades, 4.0s or, all 4s, and they do good in sports. They're good humans, man. So I like to say my wife and I, we went through a long gamut, but we made it around and back together, and man, it's cool. Got a good family, no complaints.
That's awesome. So the twins are 10, 12?
They'll be 10 in a month.
Okay, so in approximately 8 years, okay, and time flies.
Yeah, it does.
It's scary if you start thinking about that. What is the impact and the fingerprints that you want to leave on your 3 kids when you're ultimately an empty nester?
Man, I think the biggest impact, it's not, so one, I don't live vicariously. So if they win, like, they win. If they don't, I'm not mad. Like, my biggest thing, and I reiterate it to them all the time, is I want you guys to be able to fulfill your potential when it matters, which is now. It's the age to set your entire future up. So I can never want something more for them than they want for themselves. So my goal is, how do I direct them to want it, right? And so as I'm mindset-wise trying to get them to start doing their own things, engage their own realm, be themselves, at the same time I'm realizing impact-wise, I want them to go into their later years of life with a sheer, clean perspective of watching somebody chase something crazy, which is their dad, right? And their mom as well. Their mom does her own thing. But when I say crazy, the hats you said I've worn,
oh yeah,
I enter into new, different areas because I like to learn. I like to try things out, and I like to figure out what weird thing I never knew I was good at. And so as a dad, I think all parents, we want our kids to go after crazy moonshot ideas. Go take your goal, go shoot for the stars, right? But I think it's different if they've watched you do it. I think the words carry different weight when they've watched dad on a stage in front of 10,000 people. When they've seen him do podcasts, or I'm an American Ninja Warrior on TV and they're getting to watch this. I think that carries a different weight than me sitting at home just trudging away at a job I don't like, coming home saying, I'm working really hard so that you guys can have a future and do something great. Not taking something away from that, but there's a difference when I'm like, hey, I sacrifice and I take a lot of risks to create something different for myself, so that later on when I go back and I watch my kids graduate college and go to the next level, that they don't have to feel like they have to do some one singular thing the entire rest of their life, and if they don't like it, they got to stick with it. I want them to understand they have freedom, and the best way to do is to walk it myself.
Okay, so one of the biggest challenges most parents have of, older kids, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to about 15, is motivating their kids and helping them stay away from video games. So what is your secret sauce for motivating especially your boys to do something that's active and real as opposed to, a controller in their fingers?
Well, the thing is I have a lot of thoughts on this in a sense of like what our future society is going to be. So part of me realizes the world my kids will grow up and enter is not going to be my world. There'll be a need for human connection, that kind of stuff. It's part of it. But I realize that if I stunt their growth because I don't let them touch electronics ever, there's a part of the world, because everything's so technology based, that I think if I just pull them away completely, they'll miss out on social cues. Like they won't have a pop culture sense. Like they won't have certain skills I think they might need later. So there's a level where they desire that heavily, and I don't want to pull it completely away from them. And so the way I do that is we have literally like a gauge of how many hours you get. Like our kids get like 7 hours a weekend. And throughout the week, if they get in trouble, don't do their chores, like they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, we then take half hours or an hour away. And so they're working to the weekend to be able to play with their video games. They know that's there. When they have that time, it's their time. I don't even talk to them. They don't want to talk to me anyways, so they do their thing. The motivation part is, as much as people take things away from their kids, they say, get off the video games, do something else. Well, it's like a negative reinforcement to, in fact, only focus on video games. It's don't do this, as opposed to we fill a gap in and say, let's go do this. So I have at my house, we bought a bunch of, like summertime, a bunch of backyard games. Cornhole, ladder ball, bullseye ball, ring toss, you name it, it's all there. And I do it because, as opposed to saying don't play video games, I say, hey, let's go play this in the backyard. Let's go walk the dogs. Let's go do something else. And so now I'm framing things differently. We play house games like with a bunch of cards or board games. And so what I'm doing is giving them a sense of a positive feel away from the video games, so the video games aren't even a focus. They're not thinking about not playing them. They're thinking about playing this other thing. And so my balance in doing that is teaching them about other stuff. And then the motivational piece comes in from a standpoint of like, I want them to want to play sports. I want them to want to do well at those things. And so the way that I've looked at like humanity, one, if it's your idea and you help create it, you'll protect it. So they create like the structure of what they want to do, and then they do it. The more they're invested, like humans, when we invest in something, we want to return, even at a young age, right? I play my video game, I want my points. So if I teach them to invest in time, their desire for return is doing better in that sport. And so the way that I look at how I work with my children is like, I guide my kids on what to do. Hey, you should probably swim today if you didn't swim the last few days. I know there's no practice, but maybe hop in the backyard in the pool. Okay, let's go do it. And she'll get in, she'll do her swim, her laps. My oldest son, it's a matter of having him go to the track and go pull some hurdles out and go do your hurdle work. Or hey, get 100 push-ups today. Or we go to the gym and I give him a guidance of what to do. Even if he's doing it with me, he's still investing. So nobody wants to do all that work and then show up at the track and not do too well, right? So the way that I look is if I can help direct them to invest themselves into something, the cool thing happens, which is like my son, we just had this conversation before we started this. Like I caught him yesterday in his room looking at like watching college track. Like just on his own. Nobody told him to, just watching athletes run 100 meters and hurdles and stuff. He wants to watch it. And I think that is the outcome of reverting him from the video games, giving his attention somewhere else, having him learn these pattern skills. And I always play games with him and I like to beat him on purpose because I want them to find a way to win. But when they do it, there's like this celebration when they do, but they get used to being in competition. It's like that. It's like that tension most people don't do well with. They're just competing with me, but there's tension I create. So I want them to get used to being in that zone and feeling comfortable. Then the time that they're spending in their own accord, investing in swimming, or my son catching a football with football, or running track, doing hurdles, when they do get that achievement, they've got Junior Olympics, so they went to county, or there's all-stars on a flag football team, that is theirs, and I let them own that. So like yesterday, I sent my son a text like, man, I'm super proud of what you accomplished. You earned this. Literally, it's a text message. You earned a shot at the dang Junior Olympics. So I let him have that. So he realizes like, oh, I got this. It's not dad's win, it's mine. And so now that I've got that, the next cool part happens. It's part of their identity. It's who they are. So if that's who I am, they'll naturally do the things to continue to be that. And so the motivation is always got to be intrinsic, because if I look at it as if I try to want this more than them, I don't focus on how do I get them to want it, they eventually will not want to do it. That's how kids burn out. They fight their parents, and I'm not going to do it anymore, because the parents didn't make it about the kid. They made it about them wanting to see their kids succeed. And that's been my weird, like, psychological parenting process.
Well, that's very interesting. And you bring up several points. One is daddy ball is the opposite of what you're talking about, because daddy ball is when, a father wants to live through a son.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Perhaps he didn't play high school ball or college ball, and he wants his son to do that. And it's more about him than it is his son.
Mm-hmm.
The second point you bring up is the fact that from an identity standpoint, we all have identities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're sons of God. We're husbands. We're fathers. We all have these roles. Our children have identities as well. And they only want to be identified when they're looked upon as being successful in that identity.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't support them and show them the ropes and give them the resources necessary to be successful and put them on the right teams with the right coaches in the right places, they're not going to get that reinforcement. And that's the return of the investment you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
100%.
That's awesome.
I do with that with my kids. We had the flag football. So I was the coach of this all-star team that the league put it together, wanted me to coach the team. So I coached the team. And my son likes to play running back. We had two kids that were far better than him. So in the game, he didn't play running back. He snapped most of the game. He was livid. Dad, when can I play running back? I pulled him aside. I said, look, these two kids are better than you. Just because I'm your dad does not mean you get to play. And so he was like, I was really clear, like, you have to learn to be faster, catch the ball better, make more yards. You do that, then I put you in the field. But I can't put you out there when everybody knows you're not the best, because then it makes you look bad and it makes me look bad. So it's like he gets this comprehension of like, no one's going to give it to me. He has to earn it himself. And so like he's got his gloves, he catches the football, he's doing the work, because in his head I planted a seed of like, oh, if I want that, I got to work for it. No one can hand it to me. So now there's no daddy ball. It's like literally, if you're good, you're good. If you're not, it doesn't matter from your pops.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I did with my boys was I always told them they could exit stage left.
Mm-hmm.
I always give them permission that they could change their mind to do something else.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that Teddy and I have focused on is letting their natural gifts be revealed, not tell them what they should be, but let their natural gifts be revealed, and then support them in those gifts. Because our daughter was in music. I can't sing a note, and I didn't recognize it, but she was singing in the shower all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So she's at soccer games playing goalkeeper, and she's singing during the game when the game's on the other side.
Yeah.
So you have to be very authentic about identifying what your children's gifts are.
Yeah, I agree. That's how swimming happened.
All right, let's shift here. You have a podcast called Shift,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about transitions, pivot points, change. Kind of give us an overview of your mission with your own podcast.
Yeah, so the way I look at life is so your identity is like your programming, right? So my realm of expertise, we'll call it my academic work, is an identity. I'm trying to figure out like, who are we when we are at the baseline operation? The way I look at it, it's like your identity is who you are on autopilot, how you respond to situations, how you operate every single day, what you think, what you do. And people don't realize that autopilot's what creates your life. Because you can really dig in for a certain amount of time, but like it always feels like a separation. It's almost painful. I got to do this thing. But when you operate at whatever tick you operate, there's an outcome of that. Better job, better life, better body, whatever it is. So when you look at like how we operate on autopilot, I think it's because we got programmed unintentionally. For a lot of years of our life, things just happen. Childhood situations, jobs we lost, relationships we fell out of. And it's these shift moments. It's shift, this sucks. Shift, this is amazing. And there's ways it can happen proactively or reactively. We can choose to do bad things to ourselves. Shift, this sucks. I did this. Self-sabotage. Or shift, this sucks accidentally. Something happened I didn't expect. I got an injury in sports. I got fired from a job. My spouse cheated on me. Those are things that suck. Then you have the shift. This is awesome. I did this. We earned this. I trained for this race. I got myself to this next job and got the interview. I feel great. Or accidentally win the lottery. Something cool happens. I get a break I didn't expect. Right? I get a cool call from someone I didn't know I was going to talk to. And within all of those shape and create our entire identity over the years. The problem is we never thought about how that happened. And most of the time we just react to life. Something happens, I create a meaning for it. This is how I form my identity. So I go into this job and I wanted it and I didn't get it. This is something that I didn't plan, it sucked. I just don't deserve that job. And we create this story, it consistently runs, puts us on autopilot. We never go after that job or anything like it. We settle for something below where we feel we should be at. We hate our life for many, many years. We push it onto our kids. Like we push it onto our spouses, angered. So the Oz Shift podcast is based on having conversations with people and unpacking their Oz Shift moments that other people could say, I can relate to that. And then from that, pull back and say, man, how can I reprogram that? How can I realize that does exist? I am acting that way. And I can change and figure a way to actually recreate and reprogram my autopilot. So I'm a person that think about the lady who never got in shape, never worked out. You never see on her social media anything about working out. And 6 months later, she lost 20 pounds and she's Yoga Pants Susie. Everywhere, she's everything is. But the cool thing is that's now her. Before, she probably hated eating, hated working out, didn't want to get in those clothes. Now, if she does it, she feels odd. It's literally who she is now, and it happens in flow. The same level of effort she gave when she wasn't in shape, to her, emotionally, is the same amount of effort now, but it's at a higher tick, different output. And so it's for me, the Oz Shift podcast has always been about unpacking that from regular everyday people, successful people, and then really figuring out how do you listen to this person, see what they did to shift their own lives to a different place and be able to create something new. So that's pretty much all it's about.
Okay, so let's dive into the shift moments more deeply.
Yeah.
So you have these guys that are on autopilot. Mm-hmm. They end up, maybe in a very successful career. Maybe they end up in a place they didn't want to be.
Yeah.
They have some type of self-actualization where they make an intentional change. Mm-hmm. What is the driving force behind most people's shift or change?
So most people's just discomfort. Sometimes they can't even figure it out sometimes. This just feels off, or I get tired with this. And so because I'm tired, it's discomfort. We're always pleasure-seeking beings. I mean, it happens on our diets. We want to eat sugar because it makes our brains feel good. We're always looking for excitement. I think social media is one of the big drawbacks is that you see everyone's highlight reel. So I picture what their life might be like, and now mine feels less than. So I want to have that. So I got to change something because that feels like it could be great. And so for a lot of people, the catalyst for a change is just a discomfort. Now, it can happen one of two ways. One, it can happen hard and fast, like something happened, this sucks, I got to change. Or it happens because you get to the point of being fed up with accepting that your life sucks. And literally some people wake up and say, this sucks. I don't like this anymore. I'm going to make a change. And that's always the catalyst to it. It's literally going to be, I just wise up, snap out of it. Because I think the sad part is as humans, we typically think we need some precipice moment. We need something to have happened, and that's the reason I did this, right? We have to, and we have to explain to somebody. Because if somebody else hears I woke up one day and just felt changing something, it's and? But if you say, I woke up one day and this took place and I saw this, oh, it's such a great story, Mark. It makes sense. But realistically, that's I think how it should be, as opposed to just settling for it. Just wake up one day and be I'm done with this. Or things happen unexpectedly. So when most people are in that moment of this sucks, either they choose to accept the suck and dig back in and just find a way to endure it, or they choose to find some way to chase down something that's new that could provide for them the thrill or the excitement they're looking for.
So what I find is that people change because of inspiration or desperation. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about the desperation part. And I think that as humans, we are more motivated to avoid pain than we are to get gain.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
But it can work both ways. And I think that a lot of people talk about light triggers and dark triggers. And light triggers are the ones that you do want gain. That's where you're inspired. Mm-hmm. And you want to go somewhere you've never been. Somewhere higher, richer, farther. And then you got your dark triggers. And those are the pains. Those are the bad days. Mm-hmm. Those are the bank account isn't what you were hoping for. Hey, when you look in the mirror and the guy looking back doesn't look like what you were thinking he would look like at whatever age you are. Mm-hmm. And so those are triggers that instigate change because you're fed up.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, you have a decorated sports career as well. not to mention the American Ninja Warrior experience. But just kind of walk through for the audience what your mindset was when you played and what you wish it would have been now that you know what you know.
Yeah. To be honest, looking back at that time, I was just excited to have arrived. And I think it's odd because I look at it now, and I actually had this conversation in my head a couple weeks ago. I was like, man, the things that I'm able to do now, the way that I look at the world, how I work. Like, I knew back then I had to work, but I never expected to go to college. I was a foster kid growing up. I didn't expect to go to college. Then I get to college, I never had thoughts of the NFL until the NFL was on the plate. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to go try that out. And then I got there. At one point, I wanted to quit. At another point, I kind of just was there. And I think once I got out, probably like 3 or 4 years after, I realized, life is hard. Outside of the game of sports, life is hard. It's harder, I think, in certain aspects than being in. And it's tough, don't get me wrong. It is cutthroat. It's crazy. I'm not taking anything from that. But there's a different kind of pain you endure when you're in the real world. Bills got to get paid. Wife is pissed at you. The kids aren't, you don't have time with them, trying to build a business or get a job. And so I think my mindset back then was this is still a game. And it was never a game. And I wish in hindsight I would have realized this, you got to work for this, because if you don't, what's coming after this is far worse. And it took me a lot of years, almost going bankrupt, losing my marriage, losing my health, to really get to a bottom to figure out man, if only I would have realized that in the NFL, it was far from a game, but it was it's a job. It's a legitimate hard job you got to put work into. And I didn't approach it that way at times. I mean, it's not an easy thing for me as a man to say, I didn't approach it with this mindset of there's gonna be other grown men. If you take their job, you're taking food from their family. I was I'm just gonna practice, learn a playbook. No, it's not. That's not the game. And so that, I think, mindset back then was far different. Whereas now, I have a way different perspective. And when guys talk to me that have they're going to the league or going to college that are going to play in the level, I try to instill in this conversation of if you're leaving high school, you're going to college, you go to a D1 program, it's not a game anymore. You're there to go to the league. And if you go to the league, it's a business. You have a job, and it's going to be so much harder once you leave. You need to fight tooth and nail every single day. It is never a playful game. I mean, if you get to a large contract and you're killing it, yeah, but even then, it's you still got to maintain. You still got to do your thing. And then if you do that, the rest of your life can be so much easier. I got a buddy who played with me with the Bears when I was in time. When I was there, he got a big contract, ended up retiring, I want to say 3 years after I retired. To this day, and I retired 10 years ago. To this day, he just hangs out at his house all day. Nice house, chilling. I have to work. Nothing wrong with it. I love my work. But I saw him a month and a half ago. I was like, what are you doing? He goes, no, nothing. The wife just wanted to get out of the house, so she does some substitute teaching. He's I just make sure the pool's clean and mow the lawn. That's what he does. But I know the amount of work he put in to earn that. And so if you're in the game of football or in any professional sport, I wish I go back and tell myself, this is not a game, son. Do not play in here, because these guys aren't playing around. And so the mindset I have now is I take that, I try to give it to other people. And then in my own life, I almost when it comes time to work, I put back on the helmet. It sounds odd, but I might actually get my own helmet out, put it on one day. But I put it on, man, and when it's time to focus, I focus. I get things done. I operate a whole different tick, which has allowed me to excel in this industry I'm in now far more than most, because I endure pain. Because I realize what happens if I don't endure this pain now, I'm going to endure so much more, so much worse for longevity after this.
Okay, so let's talk more about what are you doing now? Take us through a typical week.
Yeah.
What your clientele's like.
Yeah.
How do you get paid?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a whole different world, right?
Because you have a voice.
Yeah.
And so how do you get paid for that?
So the big thing, I think, is a lot of people go into the space I'm in thinking, I just got to talk really cool and do some cool videos and post on social media. And people are going to reach out to me in the inbox and ask to pay me money to talk to them. It doesn't work that way. So the way that I get paid now is I have a voice, I have a perspective, I have an area that I own. I own the realm of identity. And really what it is it's an identity gap. I focus on people's identity gap, which really is the shortfall of your potential somewhere. The you just said a moment ago, pretty much, I thought it would be farther along by now. And a lot of people have that feeling of I put a lot of work in, I thought it would be farther along by now. And we're in an age of technology and information. There's no shortage of information. There's a shortage of execution on the information to a T or beyond. And so the way I get paid now is like I unpack for people the problems they have in their life. And if they follow me enough and they enjoy the work I do, they consistently get told like what I do, which is I coach and I speak. So I have clients that are like Amazon executives, moms and dads, entrepreneurs that want to do what I want to do. People that do exactly what I do, but I'm behind the scenes helping them kind of fix things and figure out how to do what I do at a higher level. And so the way I get paid is I create structure for them to follow. So if people get into this realm that I'm in, there are some people who can make it just by speaking. And they can phenomenal, powerful voices. They get booked to go in. Totally cool. But I don't want to have to be on a stage the next 30, 40 years. I want to do it if I want to, but I don't want to have to. And the only way that you can get into this space and create like a scalable income, because if it's just me talking, only I can make money for the business. And if I'm sleeping, I can't make money. Or if I'm not on a stage, I'm unemployed. So I create structures and programs. So I create courses online. I create coaching programs and methodologies. And I give those to people and they pay to have access to them. So some people have access to just the programs and the videos. Some people get speeches where I come and talk. But for me, I'm in the process of creating a full curriculum, which most of it's already done, but a full curriculum that I will then at some point allow other people to be certified to utilize. So 30 years from now, I can step back and say the identity shift program, because my work is it's covering the identity gap you have by teaching you how to make a shift in your identity. When you shift your identity, you close the gap, you excel in any area. I can show you a bunch of examples. There's science behind it. And so now what I do is I'm saying, as opposed to only Anthony's voice, in the moment he's using it, being able to make the income on a stage, in a podcast, and coaching you one-on-one on the phone every single day, how can I take this out of my brain, unpack it, put it on paper or in videos or to other people's ability to utilize on their clients, and let it ride out behind me? I step away from it at some point in time, and I have layers of people that execute on this. So it's not Anthony Trucks as a brand, but it's the results of the curriculum he created. So that's the space. It's one thing, like people always want to talk and speak. Everyone wants to be famous now because social media can make you famous. In the area of personal development and coaching, you can only get so famous when there's so many people doing the same thing you do. So my niche is unique. No one really does it right now that I know of, which is identity, but it exists. People get it. So I grabbed onto that part of it. And then I started building out a complete curriculum behind it. Now, the big thing most people don't grasp is you must be the messenger and have the right message. So if you're a messenger talking about the wrong message, it'll never click. So if I'm a guy right now talking about how to make ceiling fans, people, why would you talk about that? And it doesn't make an Anthony, I don't get it. But I read these books, they don't get it. But for me, if you listen to my life story, like people get, oh, this dude had to navigate his identity a bunch of times. Or if I'm talking about a different topic that's really engaging, mindset, right? But I'm not the right messenger because I grew up in a nice, simple, easy life, never dealt with hardship, and I'm a brat, right? You're not the right person for mindset. So a lot of it's look at your personal story. What have you mastered? What message does the world need? And are you the right messenger for that? You merge those two, figure out how to unpack it into a process you can teach people, and then give people access to that at different tiers. So for me, you can do it on your own, which is videos that are pre-recorded. You can do it in a group with me and other people, which is access to me at certain periods of time, or we do it one-on-one, or we do it in a speech. It's really that simple. And when you have that built out, you can scale.
So it sounds like to me you're building an identity college.
You can call it that, yeah. I like
where
that.
Where you're getting people that are getting bachelor's degrees in identity.
Yeah.
And masters.
Mm-hmm.
And very few people probably have the wherewithal or the motivation to become PhDs in their identity, but the ones that do get rewarded
very highly. Every person you see, it's successful. The thing is we don't notice it, but if you talk about the autopilot I talked about, like there's some people that are like, oh, I got to go to practice, I got to do this stuff, and they don't operate well. I might have been that guy back in the league. It was probably parts of it like, I don't want to go to practice. But the guys that's who they are and they love this, it's almost, it's autopilot. And they excel beyond, like Tom Brady. It's who he is to his core. That's why he's the greatest. It's not an accident. It could be the person who's the best at mowing lawns. Like it's who they are. They take pride in it, and it's autopilot. Everybody else to do that job, it'd be pulling teeth. So when you can learn to look at the people that are doing great things, from movie stars to I don't know, business, wherever they are, they're in flow, and it's not a drain on their soul to do it. They just do it. And people look at them like, he's special, she's special. No, it's who they are. And when you at that level for yourself, when you achieve that kind of flow for this thing you do, it's people talk about you attract money. You do it because it's who you are now.
Well, one of the things that I've learned from doing lots of interviews and a lot of successful people in lots of different industries, primarily sports, is I've created my own little identity college. And that is, first you have to believe in yourself. And to believe in yourself, you have to take confidence drugs every day. If you don't take confidence drugs wear out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start doubting yourself. You have to have passion for what you do. Really, what you talk about when you have an identity crisis is the passion doesn't match the mission. And if you can get the passion to match the mission, you have an authentic identity. And so for a lot of football players, it doesn't matter what you do, but let's just take football guys that don't love the game. They better love what the game can bring for them really well, or they're not going to last very long.
I agree.
And there's not that many guys that once they hit 25, 30, 35, and 40, 41 for Tom Brady, still love the game.
Yeah.
Okay? But the ones that do are the ones that are still playing. And then the last part of it is once you have a belief, a daily belief, every day, all the time, you have passion with your identity. You have to have a lifestyle that matches it.
I agree.
And so lifestyle means lots of different things, but it's your habits, your rituals, your schedule, your commitment, your ability to say no to distractions. It's your ability, like for a football player, to watch extra film.
Yeah.
Take care of your body. Do recovery things when you're not even sore so that you never get sore.
Exactly.
Right? And you take care of a small boo-boo before it becomes a major injury. Because a lot of times hamstring pulls started as a strain.
Just never took care of it.
Right? So if you believe, you have passion, and you have a lifestyle that is consistent with that, it leads to optimal performance.
I agree.
No matter what you do. And so with your identity piece, to me, it kind of centers on passion. Because people that are uber successful also are uber passionate about what they do. And when a guy is told that, hey, you're tall, you should play basketball, but he really doesn't love the game, he's probably not going to be in the NBA.
Not at all.
And when you got a guy, somebody says, hey, you're smart, you should be a IT guy or whatever it might be. So he majors in that in college, and that's his job. He's not going to be the CEO because he doesn't even enjoy the job he has.
Yeah, he just did it because he felt like that's what he was supposed to do. That's the emotional separation.
And that, to kind of circle back with our children, one of the best things you can do is help them uncover their passions. Because they all got them. God places different passions with different kids, different people. And if they can connect with that passion, the performance just naturally follows.
I agree. I think that the way I kind of explain it, which is the way you framed it, it's kind of this, imagine you have like this orb, a little floating ball, and you have like this circling of the orb, like another ball, like let's say Earth and the Moon. So if you are the Earth, that's your identity. And I guess the way that I look at it is we naturally, the autopilot, it's a natural, actionable flow. So what you call passion and a desire, and like it all flows in a sense of that little orb is your ego. And people call ego a negative thing. It's a bad, you got your ego, it's in a way. But realistically, my ego is what allows me to be a great football player when I was. My ego was like, well, I'm a great football player. I identify as that. So what natural actions will take place in any moment for me to protect that identity? And the ego protects it at all times with the actions. I'll watch film. I'll lift weights. I'll stay healthy. Everything you talked about. And so for me, it's like, how do I get people to get into the realm of where the identity is not something that they're trying to be, but it's literally when they wake up, it's rooted in the core of who they are. And I believe that there's three separate areas that overlap. It's like a Venn diagram, but it's your beliefs, the stories you tell yourself, and your actions. Where your beliefs and your actions overlap, it's your integrity. Like, are you integrous in this area? Do you have passion for this thing? Is that who you are? Is there a strength of character in that? Where your actions and your stories overlap, it's what you tell yourself, and what you actually do is your commitment. So if I tell myself I'm a great football player, but my actions don't follow, I'm out of commitment. My habits suck, I'm out of commitment. Then you have where my beliefs and my stories and myself overlap, and that's where your mindset is. If I believe I'm supposed to be great, but I tell myself, oh, but can you do this? I question myself a lot. I don't have that confidence or belief being put in. 100%, I fall apart because my mindset will be weak in the moments when it's needed to be strong. Where those all overlap is what I call your ideal identity. So when you talk about that person who's uber successful and they have this natural passion, that everything overlaps perfect for them. They believe they're supposed to be that. They tell themselves who they are, and their actions align. So their mindset, their commitment, and their integrity is all gathered to that little spot, and they are powerfully that identity, and their ego floats around with the actions. If I'm saying I'm a good mom, I want to be a good mom. 3 in the morning rolls around, your kid's sick, you get up and go to the ER. That's what a good mom does. You don't even think about it. People say, how do you do that? Like, I could never. Well, that's just who I am. Easy. And so if you get those together, you anchor the identity, the ego will just fall into place. It'll flow, and you'll get into that autopilot you're talking about.
That's fantastic. You effectively help professionals close the gap in their identity. Okay? You've got a great concept. You want everything in motion. You want autopilot going. You want these 3 things in sync. How do you start? How do you help somebody?
So there's like multiple steps to it, right? And it's not that they're crazy hard steps. We do them every day. I think the cool thing is these are natural, normal things we do. We're just not typically aware of it. There's 3 stages that my company goes through, and it's see, shift, sustain. The majority of the work takes place in the shift aspect, but the first part of it, if you don't do the first, you can't do the second. I think a lot of people, they don't give themselves permission to change. They don't see, they don't accept, right? So to see is to partially like accept that this is going on. So some people will, because their ego is so protected, they don't want to have anybody see them sweat. They'll never own up to I'm not very good in this area, or I need help in this. So if I never do that, I will never give myself permission to work on this thing. So when people get in arguments in their relationships, I'm great, it's all her fault. Oh, I'm great, it's all his fault, whatever is back and forth. If they never step in and say, man, like, I need to work on something and accept this, or listen to their spouse, or in a career, if your boss tells you to do something, you don't do it. Oh, he's just crazy, he's asking too much. If it's always the outfront aspect and you don't look at yourself, you'll never give yourself perspective to make this shift. You'll never fill the identity gap. And you'll always wonder, why can't I get X? Why am I so far behind? What's going on? And there'll be people in your life typically that tell you this many times. You're too lazy, you spend too much time doing this, you should stop doing this, do more of this. You don't know what I want. They just shut it off. And so the first part's to see what is stopping you and see where you can go, which is accepting the problems that you have in your life going on, listening to some people you respect, and then shooting out some crazy big goals. Like, where do I really want to go? Because if I see the problem and I don't care about it, do nothing about it, it's still there. But if I say, man, this sucks, where do I really want to go? Find an idea that you actually can't see. Like, set up a goal somewhere that you have no idea how it's going to happen. And I do that because I think that for a lot of people, they're not used to feeling a stretch. But stretch is how you, like in sports and muscles, the more you stretch, the longer, stronger muscle is, the faster, more powerful you are. So we get overwhelmed, we get maximized, they call it. It's just you being stretched. But realize a stretch is good for you if you take it on. So we get stretched, and then the next part's the shift portion. And when it comes to the aspect of shift, really what we're looking at is saying, how do I go through the stages to find the ideal identity I want? So we literally go through what's called discovery phase. Go and seek out people doing what you want to do. Like it's not rocket science, it's all there in front of you. People are already doing something you want to do. The problem is you're looking at what they have, not what they do. And if you listen, like part of my coaching is go and listen to at least 3 or 4 of their interviews, read articles that they write, watch their social media. Just look at what they're doing as a whole. Not what they did in that video, not what they said, but are they posting every single day? Are they getting a workout in their social media? Hey, I'm getting my cardio in. Are they doing that every day? Are they writing things consistently? Are they saying the same kind of thing every day when they talk to different people in interviews? Like, find their work and listen to them, or follow them around, or interview them. Just ask questions and figure out what are their backside micro actions. I believe that the micro actions are what allow us to get to the point of the more we do something, the more we're invested. The micro actions help you create that aspect of like, this is who I am. The first time you whittle a chair, you don't think you're the world's best chair whittler. 20,000 chairs later, you're pounding your chest. I'm the best chair whittler in the world, but it's time spent, right? It's all it is, just time. And so the first part of it is really getting a grasp of that aspect. Then from there, you find what you discover, you dissect it. Dissect what the parts of the identity are. Then you design what you want. That ideal identity I talked about, design who you want to be. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? How big do you want to be? What's this big goal you have? And a lot of that comes down to multiple different actions that you don't do now. 100% is things that people aren't even thinking of doing. And then what people try to do is try to install all of them into their life in a day. tomorrow I'm going to get up and go to the gym. I'm going to buy new food. I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to read 1 million books a week. Like, you're not. Like, you're going to do exactly what you already do. You might try 1 or 2 new things. So, of a list of 20 micro actions you're supposed to do, choose 2 this week. And maybe do the same 2 for the next 2 weeks. Get them in. Become that. Like, I'm the person that gets up and I read a book every day in the morning, 15 minutes. Cool, it's in now. Now it's part of who I am. It's flow. Then add the next 2. Add the next 2. Once those are in, it's literally a matter of just execution over time. That's a simplistic way to look at it. There's a lot more in-depth into the whole shifting of what you do, how you do it, but I'm not going to go too in-depth. That's really what it is. The back part of it's sustainability. People live yo-yo lives, and it's really uncomfortable to watch. I lived a yo-yo life. It's uncomfortable to live. So what I mean by yo-yo life is like I get some success, and then I'm like, oh, I arrived, and I stop doing the things that I did to get there. When I stop doing the things, I fall back to the place, or worse, than where I was when I started. And so for me, it's a matter of looking at how do I sustain this, but also sustain the perspective of like once you hit a peak, there's more peaks. False summits happen all throughout our lives. We get somewhere, we think this is my life. I love this. 5 years later, it's like, what else is there? And so what happens is people don't sustain a childlike mindset to see the world. Over time, when we were kids, we had this big, broad scope of what we could see. You could do whatever you wanted to do. As we got older, the scope started getting tighter and tighter as we specialized in something. And I got down to where like I happen to be the person that's, I'm the Safeway manager at the grocery store. That's what I do. But over time, I start realizing like, I don't love this part of my life. And when we get to that peak, what the sustainability is saying is broaden the scope again. Go do snorkeling in some weird place. Go and take a trip. Go drive across the country. Go and skydive. Go and, pick up line dancing. Just do something that is not in your current scope. And you start broadening the perspective and you get back to that sustainability of seeing a childlike mindset and still learning, still growing. And if you stay in that same vein of life, it's totally cool, but you now have a new injected sense of excitement because there's more than what you're just doing. So sustaining the place that you're at, but also sustaining a desire to grow to the next level.
Okay, so Anthony, something that is similar but not the same is a philosophy that I have about building a championship mindset. And that is competing, winning, and repeating.
Yeah.
And so competing is what you described at the beginning. And that is acting in such a way you're not scared of failure. Because when you compete, you have a choice. You can quit or you can stick your neck out and fail. Mm-hmm. It's way easier to quit than it is to, the fear of failure scares the hell out of most people. Mm-hmm. And so quitting, like in football, is you let yourself get blocked if you're a defender. Because you just don't want to look bad and miss an attack on the edge. So you just let the guy block you. Okay? That happens every time, or a lot of times. So you don't even look like you really failed, but you weren't even trying. And so on that side of it is you have to be a all-pro competitor.
Sell out.
Okay? And then with respect to winning is synonymous with identity.
Always.
You got to know who you are, what you stand for, why you do what you do, what kind of impact you're going to make on people. And if you know those things, you're already a winner. And so we have 2 scoreboards in action. We have the one in lights with the numbers and the quarter and the teams. But the most important scoreboard is the one we have inside of ourselves, which is, hey, you given everything you got, do you know who you are? Are you giving the world your best self? All those things that you yourself can only keep score. Nobody else really knows. But if you're a winner on the internal scoreboard, most of the time it manifests itself in the external scoreboard.
I agree.
And then the third step is you got to repeat it, sustain it.
Daily.
Same thing. Okay? And so when you repeat it, you create dynasties. The Patriots, the Warriors, Alabama. What happens in life sometimes is you get a lucky bounce. You catch a break, you get a contract, you get a deal, you get an opportunity, and you think you've arrived, but you don't sustain it, you don't repeat it, and it goes away. Very few people have the wisdom to take that competing part and the winning part and put them together and do it over and over and over and over again, which is your autopilot in your words.
It's who you are.
And if you do that, you have a chance to be a champion.
think it boils down, like I always look at some of the same stuff. It's funny, I like concepts are all different. Same thing, people say, but in different words. The way I look at that is it's exactly the same. It's more of like, I love Anthony. I don't love Anthony in a sense of I'm putting anybody else down, but I love Ant. And so if you think about people you don't love, do you show up for him? Do you give out? Do you sell out for that person? You don't.
No.
And a lot of people, they don't even know it, but they don't love themselves. Half the time they don't like themselves. And it's because of what you just talked about. I didn't continue to win. The internal scoreboard shows I'm losing. So why am I going to sell out for this person? And I don't repeat it. But I get up every day like I'm doing this nutritional thing with my wife right now. I was in Pennsylvania for a couple of days. I was away for 3 days during this time frame. I love sugar. I love candy bars and jelly beans. I haven't had any for months. I could have easily had a Snicker bar on a flight. She would have never known, right? But for me, because I love Anthony, I respect him. I show up for him. I don't let him do things that later on Kerr Anthony will look down upon. And so the way I look at it, it's just like you said, it's the winning. I win every day when I stay integrous to myself. Therefore, when I am called upon or I call Anthony to do something, he shows up and sells out because I've loved on him. And so if people look at like, if I have a family member, I'll love on him, a teammate, I'll love on him, I'll share, I'll build them up, I'll pump them. If they ask me to do something, take me to the airport 4 in the morning, I'm there, I'll do it, right? I'll do whatever I need for that person. But if we really look internally, I don't think a lot of people have that same love and respect for themselves. So they don't show up for themselves. They don't repeat the actions. And that's why their lives get to the point of like, what's wrong with me? You didn't love yourself enough. You didn't respect through actions. And you didn't follow up and keep repeating the things needed to over time.
Well, that begs a very critical question, which is, why is it that people don't love themselves?
I wish I knew the complete answer to that.
I don't know either.
I mean, I've been there. I think like there was a time in my life when I literally lost my marriage. My wife had an affair. My business was at the point of bankruptcy, like multiple times. So in the worst shape of my life. I literally had these 3 kids that I was never present for. Like I was living in a 500 square foot studio, and at a gym that I owned that was 10,000 square feet. And I would go to work in the morning. I'd come back midday, drink a 6-pack of beer, watch some weird shows on Netflix, go back to work, and just go through the motions. I did not like Anthony, and I think the reason I didn't like Anthony is because I had nothing to be proud of. In my mindset, I had nothing to be proud of. My perspective was, you're not a good husband, you're not a good dad, you're not a good business owner, like you're not even in a good body, dude. Like, why work for that guy?
How did you change?
I mean, we talked about it in the beginning, but it was that point of desperation. I drove off one night. I sent a text to my friends and family. I said, please tell my children who their father was. Legitimately.
Oh my God.
It was a bad night, man. It was like I had literally for the first time let the weight of everything that was happening hit me. I'd been in fog for months after I found out my wife was somebody else. The gym's failing. Like my kids aren't even with me half the time. Like, and it was this really dark place of like pain. Because people don't realize the brain can't always separate physical and emotional pain. I literally felt like I'd had like a hammer pounded in my chest. And I just wanted pain to stop. That was literally the momentum I had. Like, I got to stop. Drove off one night. It was late enough so no stores were open. Couldn't find the rat poison I planned on eating. And I just stopped my car somewhere. GPS had the police come find me. I made up a story. I'm good. And then I went home. But I think that desperation moment was one that I can trickle back to the way I thought when I was 15. At 15 years old, when I first tried football, I sucked. I was horrible at the game. But I wanted to be great. I had this desire, like I want to have something great, but I don't know what I'm doing. And I realized that I had to sell out and put this work in that would come from a place that I had no idea if I should. I had no idea if I'd be successful, but I did know that it wasn't going to accidentally get better. That was it. Like, I knew that there's no way my life was going to accidentally get better. It was only going to get better if I put the work in towards it before I knew it would work. And that was a switch that flipped, like, dude, I have no idea if it's going to work, but what's worse than this? Like, what? The worst I was close to. So anything I do past this, like, it's better. And I started this weird climb of like, all right, I'm going to start getting better. I own a gym. I'm going to stop wearing hoodies to cover it. Start wearing t-shirts, get made fun of a little bit, but I'm going to hit the weights. I'm going to work out. Did that. Felt better. And it's a unique thing when you have a physical confidence that can tie to your mental confidence. So getting better in the gym, feeling good again, it allowed me to actually get to the point of having more confidence to pursue being a better guy. I stopped going out and drinking. I stopped having multiple partners. Like, I just sat in rooms and had conversations in my head that most people don't do. Because most of the time we never want to look at the person we are, so we distract ourselves with drugs and women and men, and we just go hang out and music. And I stopped. I turned the phone off. I would stare at a wall and like damn near beat myself up. Ask questions. Why are you doing this? What can you do now? Like, sounds odd, but that's what I did. And so I had confidence in myself in the gym. I started putting confidence into what I would do as a person. I started having really deep conversations and mending a lot of stuff that I broke. Having conversations with people that I really would have never wanted to. I went and had a conversation with the guy my wife was with. I had a heart-to-heart with the guy. And I mean, the whole time, like, you want to kill him, but there's a realization of, like, everyone's broken. It sucks. Like, it doesn't take away from what they did, but, like, everyone's broken. But if I could allow this to mend in some way, like, it could give me peace. I needed that. So I mended that. To this day, I can see the guy, give him a nod, life goes on. Then from there, like, how do I work on the relationship with my kids or my ex-wife? And so I realized, like, things I had to do to stop shaming her for her actions and take some blame. Oddly, the way I could look at that is, like, she got to the point to have to make a decision, but she didn't get there alone. So what was my part in that? Like, I had confidence. I could take back that power, even though it hurt to take back the truth of it. Like, dude, you were a bad husband. So I owned that, which took the weight off of her. She could now grow to be a better mom and grow in herself. And then we could reconnect, and did years later, 3 years after divorce, reconnected, remarried. Life's incredible in that aspect. Then from that, I realized, like, the next piece for me is, like, how do I get to that point of, like, so I want to take what I learned and provide some sense of benefit to the world. So I think the world has always revolved around books and podcasts, these things of taking this experience, sharing it to help somebody get better. That's how the Bible is. It's here's life, live it this way, right? So I looked at it as, what have I gone through that I could now take and then pull apart, open the heart up, tell these deep stories. Someone can grab it who's not sharing it, not talking about it, and say, man, I get this guy. If that's what he did, let me figure out how he fixed it, and I can follow Anthony's path and find that next tier for myself. And in doing these things, I got to the point where I started loving Anthony again. The biggest part of it is we spend 95% of the time of our lives wallowing in pain and anguish and just stewing on it, and maybe 5% of the time trying to get out of it. And I said, I'm going to flip that. 5% I'm going to spend stewing on it because I know it's going to happen. I know it's part of it. But I'm going to spend 95% of the time taking an action out of it. And emotions are what drive us. We're emotional beings. If you think about how emotions are created, they're based off actions. Like when your kids are born, they poop, cry, eat, they give you nothing. But we love them crazy. Like we crazy love them, right? Why? Because of the action we invest in this time, in this area. Again, we talked about earlier, investment, return. My investment in action creates a return emotionally. So if I invest these loving actions in myself or even my spouse, if I invest the action, I get the return feeling of that loving feeling. So all I did to get out of it was say, I don't like this, let me fix something, focus on the fixing part, put action into it, develop these wins, stacked them, felt great about myself again. And now it's the action of everything I do every day creates that love that I give back to Anthony, which is a cycle, never stops. I give this energy out, I get the feeling of love, I keep pouring. And the more I pour out, the more I get back, which means it keeps cycling and cycling. My investment gets bigger, the return gets bigger. And that's how you shift in the aspect of like going from a place of like, I hate myself. You got to action your way out of it. You can stop stewing on it, stop giving attention and energy to that negative thought. It's not going to help you. It's still going to be there. A day, 2 days, a week from it's still going to be there. But if you take an action, a physical action, it shapes and shifts the entire psyche and psychology and emotion you have to keep the ball rolling.
I am speechless because that is real stuff. I mean, that's real. And, you know, it's like from ashes to glory almost. And you had a point in your life where you were overwhelmed. You felt like a failure on multiple fronts. And you really had to act, good or bad, whether it was take your life or change your life. And I think that it would be really cool if people could make that counteraction before they get to that point.
Yeah.
Right? You know, some people never get to that point, but there's a lot of people that do that never tell anybody that they do. I mean, I don't think there's a dad out there that's ever felt like he's been a success his whole time being a dad. You know, it's one of those roles where you are going to feel like a failure at some point in time. Mm-hmm. As a husband, you're going to feel like a failure. You know, you're going to have good days, but you're going to have some bad days. Mm-hmm. So I'm humbled by your response on that stuff. I want to thank you for participating today. You've brought a wealth of information, very beneficial to everybody. Athletes, non-athletes, anybody. Dads, non-dads, it doesn't matter who you are. The stuff that you talked about today is real. And I just wish you the best of luck in your identity journey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. For real.
Yeah, seriously.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Pro Mindset. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. 5 stars, of course. You can follow us on our website, promindsetpodcast.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pro Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you the next time.
Leftovers or the DMV
Number 97.
or house cleaning or Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.